Hello, I'm Giles Whitehead, and I'm very happy to be talking to someone other than myself today, and happier that it's a fellow artist. An artist, an actress, an artist, star of stage and screen and picture frame, and not to mention radio, the afternoon play on Radio 4. Welcome to the wonderful and talented Emily Pithon.
Hello, Giles. Thank you for that. Lovely introduction. I don't know if I'm a star of stage and screen, though. That's a bit grand. I have been on stage and I have been on screen, but we're talking small scale.
Right, Emily, remember, you've got to big yourself up here.
I'm sorry, yeah, no, I am amazing.
You've worked with some of the greats.
I have, actually.
Gielgud.
Yes, for just one example.
So now you say it. So now, actually, I have worked with... Yes, okay, Emily, you are tiny. This is a put down for you today.
I think the fanciest people I've worked with haven't worked with me, which is in radio. So I've worked with Ian McKellen, but he doesn't know that because he recorded in London and I was recording in Manchester, because that's what happens when you work with the really big people. You don't actually meet them. But yeah, they got to work with me. That's the way round it is. They don't realise, but they were really lucky to work with me.
That's more like it. You've got to fight back, Emily. Rethink your perspective. They orbit you, not the other way round.
Absolutely, my position in the world.
So we're going to start at the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, your upbringing? What shaped you?
How was I spawned?
You don't need to go that far back.
No, I believe that took place in Ross-on-Wye. But anyway, I was born in France. My father's French. My mother is from London. And I grew up in North Wales, where they settled and they're still living there. And my sister was born in London. They sort of moved about a bit while we were little, and then we settled in North Wales. So that's really where I feel I'm from, even though I don't have any Welsh blood or family. I feel Welsh because it's where I grew up. But I now live in Liverpool, just over the water from North Wales, because I like being in a city, and I worked in the theatres here at Liverpool and just fell in love with the place. So that's where I am now.
Can you tell us about school? Were you torn between acting and art? What made you decide the route that you took?
I don't think I was ever torn. I think I always wanted to be an actor first, and I think I discovered that at school, doing school plays and stuff like that. And I was also in youth theatre later on, but to begin with, I was in the school play every year. And I think when I was about 12, I played Annie, which I have on video somewhere, which is hilarious. I thought I was better than the girl in the film, at the time, but you watch it now and you think, oh dear. But anyway, that was my first proper part at school. And somebody in the local newspaper wrote a little review of it and said, Emily should consider taking this up professionally. And that was the first time it had ever been suggested to me that that was a possibility, that you could actually do that for a job, not just for fun. So really from the age of 12, I was on course to go and be an actor. And I did art as well. We didn't actually have drama as a subject in sixth form at my school, so I took art for A-level. I guess I would have done drama if it was available. But yeah, I was on course from quite a young age to go and be an actor. I knew I was going to go to drama school and give that my best shot, because that seemed to be where I felt most at home and had the most ability in myself anyway. So I haven't really come back to art till much, much later, but having always done it in an informal way along the way.
So what's your favourite type of acting? Is it on the stage or on the television, or is it on the radio?
Well, for most of my career, it's been stage. But then I started working in radio about 6 years ago. And I'd say that's my favourite now. I just love it. I love everything about it. It's always a total pleasure. It's always lovely people. Although I still enjoy that, and there's something wonderful about live performance, I love radio because you get all of that, but in a much sort of more condensed way. And I also like the freedom of radio, that it's just the voice and you can literally be anything. It doesn't matter what you look like. And so much of the industry is about what you look like primarily before anything else, sadly. So, on radio, I can play the Queen, I can play Frankie Howard's mother, I can play a child, I can play anything at all. So it's much less limiting in that way.
So if there was one role on radio that you'd like to play, what would it be?
I love good character comedy. So anything that gave me an opportunity to transform and be a different person from myself, but also make people laugh would be what I love doing. So anything that fits that profile, really.
So you want to be someone other than yourself?
I guess so. That's part of it, isn't it? It's play acting, it's transforming, and it's about taking an audience somewhere else. I mean, I have played roles, I suppose, closer to myself, but generally, I suppose I'm what they call a character actor, and I tend to play against type. And it is more fun. It's more like play. It's more like what you do when you're a child. You know, you want to play the baddie or just something that feels like a transgression of some sort from behaving well or, yeah.
So tell us the story about how you found the artistic side of yourself. How did that come about?
I think I'd always drawn cartoons specifically anyway, as a sort of hobby really, and as sort of gifts for family and friends. So that was something I was always doing. But I realised at a certain point in my acting career, I was supporting myself with acting, but then the rest of the time I was supporting myself temping and doing all sorts of jobs that I really didn't enjoy and found quite draining, because at the end of the day I'm a freelance creative. So in the end I was quite depressed, actually, is what basically happened. I was quite depressed. The acting work was dwindling, the kind of parts I was getting were getting less interesting, and I think that was just all a bit of a vicious cycle of not being very well mentally from doing a lot of work that I wasn't enjoying. And so I ended up in sort of counselling. I ended up in seeing a life coach, actually, is what happened. And that's how I then found my cartooning again, because it was one of the things that came up through that process of like, is there something else? Is there a secret passion you have that you haven't really ever allowed yourself to explore? And of course, it was obvious then. And I actually got quite emotional about it at the time. I remember feeling, oh my God, just talking about it to her made me cry, because she was sort of saying, why has this remained a secret? Why is this hidden in your life? And I was saying, because I don't think it's any good, you know. And I realised how harsh and critical I was being of my abilities. Anyway, so that was the start of it, which led to me then doing a little distance learning course in cartooning just to build my confidence again. And eventually, when I was coming to the end of that course, I was working at the Orange Tree Theatre in Richmond, doing a play by Ellen Ayckbourn called Taking Steps. And while I was on that job, I did a cartoon of the cast. I sketched myself and my dressing room pal, Anna Francolini, on a sort of whiteboard in our dressing room. And stage management saw it and suggested to me that maybe I should draw the whole cast. So I did. And then from there, I just ended up having conversations really with the people in the theatre. And at the Orange Tree Theatre, I don't know if you know, they always have a space front of house for artists to exhibit work. And so they invited me to do a little exhibition. So then I created some work specifically, you know, just silly jokes about being in the theatre. And I made some prints and I had my first exhibition there. And it did quite well. And then I started to get commissions from that. So that's where it started, really.
And now you've got another exhibition coming up. Can you tell us about that?
I have, yes. I haven't done an exhibition for quite a while. So, and this is a bit different because after the Orange Tree one, I did a few more in theatres and similar themes. So this is a completely different thing. There is an art materials shop, which I'm sure your listeners will be aware of, called Cass Art, and I am exhibiting in a space that they offer to local artists at their shop in Liverpool. And so I've been putting together 15 to 20 pieces for that. But this time it's not going to be really about my acting background, and it's not going to be any sort of jokes even. I'm more working on sort of more straight cartoon illustration, I guess. And the theme that ties it all together is it's about creative endeavour, and it's about what that feels like on the inside, what it looks like from the outside, the struggle and the joy of it all.
You've made a blog, haven't you?
I did make a blog.
And you have many thoughts about life.
Yes. I suppose I do have thoughts about what life is and what life feels like internally, and they're two different things quite a lot of the time. I've done quite a bit of work in counselling recently for my own mental health, and it's made me much more compassionate with myself, much more understanding of, well, all the stuff that goes on internally that gets in the way of endeavour, of pushing forward with things. And I find that an interesting dynamic to examine, especially in cartoons, because it's a way of releasing them in a funny way. It's a way of looking at what's inside that can be painful, but sort of turning it from something difficult into something, I don't know, something, I don't want to say joyful, but it's finding peace with it all, really. I did actually do an exercise once where I drew the people that my sort of negative committee of people that live in my head, and everybody has one of those, just to see what came out. And just by externalizing those things, sometimes that can be quite powerful, just to settle them down. The little person that sits on your shoulder that wants to keep you safe from making a fool of yourself, don't go showing this to anyone, it's rubbish, that person. I want to draw that person and see what they really look like and have a little laugh at them, with them. But equally, when feelings of depression come in, low mood and sort of sadness about things, because that's often another component in there, I want to turn that character into something benevolent, that's just that's a part of you that's trying to keep you safe from trying to push yourself too hard sometimes. So it's a sort of strange safety mechanism. If you can't get out of bed because you feel heavy and depressed, then that's where you need to be. You need to stay in bed today and just, not beat yourself up about it.
Things happen to you in life and you feel like, you don't want to get up, or you don't want to start doing something, or you feel depressed, or you've got this inner critic telling you you're not good enough. But I feel like when I hear you talk about it, it sounds a bit depressing. But I know that it's not, because I know that when I look at your work, it makes me laugh and it makes me smile and it makes me feel uplifted, because I know that you're seeing the funny, silly, irrational side of those feelings.
Sounds miserable, yeah. No, of course it's funny. Of course it's funny. It's just difficult. I think talking about art isn't funny. I'm always a bit like, I don't want to hear actors talk about acting. I don't want to hear artists talk about making art. Because I just think, oh God, just let me enjoy the art. Just come and see it and enjoy it. It's meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to make you smile and feel something. There's something in the externalization of it for me, that it comes out funny. It doesn't feel funny inside, but when it comes out in an artistic form, it's funny and benevolent and kind and jolly, and because that, I think, is the basis of who I am. Actually, I'm a very positive person. I just have I don't know, we all have it, and it is funny. I think it's like, I'm quite influenced by dark illustrators, like Edward Gorey's work is very dark. Tim Burton is very dark, and I admire their techniques, and I find myself trying to emulate those in what I'm doing. But I could never emulate that darkness, because it's not in me. When I draw, try to learn from those techniques and get all that lovely line work that they do in black ink, and the shading and the moodiness of it. It's still joyful. This one you can show, Giles. This one, which I guess is quite Tim Burton-y, and it's the woman lost in the forest. If Tim Burton had drawn that, it would be terrifying. But because I have, it's just kind of cute and funny, and non-threatening. I guess that's the thing. It's non-threatening. It's turning these sort of quite strange, threatening feelings on the inside into something joyful and silly, and we can laugh at it. It's exactly what you were saying, basically. So that's what I've been trying to draw in various ways with this exhibition work, so far anyway.
And how far have you got to go?
Well, I've completed the work, I think. There's just one piece I still haven't finished that I'm not sure whether to put it in or not. And in fact, it's the piece I was just talking about, the not being able to get out of bed. And, Churchill called depression the black dog of depression. I quite often draw this big black dog. He's become a sort of a character, I suppose, in my artistic language. He just comes up now and again. And I first drew him when I was thinking about being an out-of-work actor and how that can weigh you down. And I drew, and this piece is finished and will be in there. That's just the idea that this dog visits you. It just comes to visit. It's very, very big. and imposing in one way, but also it's kind of a comfort. It's there to protect you and just sort of see you through a difficult time, and it will leave when you're strong enough again to keep going. And that was the idea behind it. So I've got an image at the moment that's the only one that I haven't finished, which is I guess myself in bed, and on top of the bed preventing me from getting up is the great big black dog. But yeah, no, I'm pretty much there with it. I've got to do all the framing and the gubbins and the scanning and the potentially making these things into prints as well. Because really I'm just viewing the exhibition as somewhere to just show it. I've no idea whether there'll be any uptake, whether people ever buy art from an art shop. It's not like a gallery where people are going looking to buy art. So I guess it's more of a showcase and an opportunity to talk about my work and on Instagram and so on, and see where it goes.
And you mentioned Instagram.
Yes.
Can you tell us your Instagram handle?
My Instagram handle, Giles, is Emily Pithon. That's Pithon. French, you see, French. That's my French father. Emily Pithon, cartoonist. All one word.
And can we find you anywhere else? I think you have a website.
I have a website. That's emilypithon.wordpress.com. I have an Etsy shop as well, but there's a link to that on my Instagram. Cartoon Art by Pithon, that's called.
Okay, well, and can you tell us the dates of your exhibition?
Yes, it's going in on the 29th of August and it's just there till the 11th of September, just a couple of weeks.
So very excited. If you're in Liverpool,
yes,
then that's the place to be. And are you going to be there? Talk to people at any point? Is there any like little private?
I hope so. I'll find out about that, and if I need to talk to the people in the shop and find out how it works, and if it's possible to have a little private drinky thing, I will update you.
You will be there in another persona, perhaps the persona of a dog, in a dog outfit.
Yes, I will be dressed as a gigantic black dog. You won't be able to miss me. I'll be outside the shop flyering.
You've got to do what you've got to do, even in this heat.
Absolutely.
Perhaps you can go in a more casual outfit and you can wander amongst the people who are looking at the artwork and see what the general impression is.
Yes, I could do that. I could spy. I mean, I'm an actress. Let's not forget. I could exploit this. I could be a different person every day spying.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on to my first ever interview.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm sorry if I was a bad first interviewee.
Emily, what are you doing? I'm sorry that I was a bad first interviewee. The inner critic never leaves you. It just never ever leaves you, does it? Oh. Right.
No, she's there. She lives within me. She has a tape measure around her neck. Not measuring up. That's what she says all the time. I can't get rid of her. You can't ask me to. She's in me.
It's part of you.
Thank you for having me, Giles Whitehead.
You're welcome, Emily Pithon.
I have been an excellent interviewee, and you have been an excellent interviewer.
I know it's not true.
Hey, I thought that was my best performance.